This is one of those stories we debated not doing because it's just so sad. It's just crushingly sad. But in the end, we decided we had an obligation to do it because it's also true. It just happened. 13 American servicemen were killed yesterday in a bombing outside the Kabul airport. One of those servicemen was a U.S. Marine called Kareem Nikoui. This video from Afghanistan could be the last taken of him before his death.
Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Hey. We friends? We friends? 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 Yeah? Friends. Friends.
His father is Steve Nikoui, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Nikoui, I appreciate your coming on, and our hearts break for you, and I mean that. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Tucker.
It's hard even to know what to ask you other than to extend our sincere, for real, heartfelt sympathies. But how are you doing 24 hours later?
Well, I'm going on about 36 hours, I believe, that I've been up, and I'm still in shock. The family is devastated, and his mother, who's an excellent mom, is doing the best that she can, considering the circumstances.
Yeah. So the reason that we wanted to talk to you, I just to remind everyone of you watching, and people already know this, but that these are real people serving our country and dying because they've been asked to put their lives at risk. So were you concerned? Your boy is over there in the final days of our occupation. Were you worried for him?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He had voiced some worry, too, to the family earlier prior to him going. And looked at the way that the Taliban had, pretty much infiltrated the whole country so fast. And we were just kind of, it seemed, left to just this one little airport, really concerned me. And the videos that we were getting and the pictures that we were getting from him looked somewhat chaotic. But we got the video that you had just played, and we got other ones where he was really interacting with, the locals, and was kind of in awe in his approach to his difficult job. So just, that video that you saw and his pictures and how he was handling it really put us at ease to where we felt like, he's all right.
What's so bitter about this is how chaotic it was. And, if this had been handled from Bagram Air Base, which the U.S. controlled for 20 years, it seems like this wouldn't have happened. Is that your view?
Well, yeah, I mean, these are, of course, my views, and has nothing to do with his view as a Marine and, the loyalty that he has there. I've never served. But yes, my view is that from what I saw of the airport that they were in, it looked like a turkey shoot. Basically, it's funneled into like a single file type entry point at which, if you have any sort of chaos of any sort, they would all gather to that one funneled area, which they would all be susceptible. And I think that's exactly what happened. It was just basically so chaotic and not really planned out. Now, I'm a carpenter, and even I could spot that with my untrained military eye.
Yeah, it did seem pretty obvious. Have you heard from the Marine Corps, the political leadership in this country since your son's death?
Yeah, they have been incredible. So, basically what had happened was, how I found out is I was glued to the TV all day yesterday because, I had woken up and I wasn't feeling well, and I just felt like something was wrong. My wife felt that there was something wrong. Oh. And, as we go downstairs, we realized that this had happened. And now, we're like, well, there's some, legitimacy to how we're feeling. And so I'm glued to the TV all day. I have my and I see, it says 3 wounded, then 3 killed, then 10 killed, then 12, then 13, and so many Afghans And I'm trying to find out what time this actually took place so I can reference when he was working to get some sort of insight. Then they said that the president was going to talk, I believe at 1 o'clock. So I felt like, maybe from that speech, I'd be able to get whether or not all the families had been contacted, or if they still have to been contacted, because previously I had seen that the prior administration would normally contact people like first, like
Yes.
the actual president of the United States. So I had some sort of sense like, hey, okay, maybe that would happen. So then that's not happening, and things are still transpiring to be a little more grave. And I start Googling, well, how long does it take for the military to inform its next of kin? And I somehow from the internet gathered about 8 hours. And this is about after he had talked, because after he had talked, he had said that, I believe he had said that, no, they're still going to be contacted. Or I think maybe the commentator said, well, there'll be some knock on the doors tonight. So at that time, I didn't know if there was going to be a knock on the door or a call. So about after his speech that he did, I then got my phone and put my phone down by the television. Now I had the cable on that had the 4 different networks on my cable. So I had Fox News, BBC, CNN, and something else, which, I was just, the reason I had that is because I was able to see, the optics of the 4 channels and, pick where I wanted to get my information from. Well, I also started to think, well, they're might have possibly come here. So what I had done was I got my phone that has the camera at the front porch, and I put that down. So if anyone was to walk up, I'd be able to rush outside and intercept them, because I didn't want, if something happened to my son, that these Marines, nothing against them, were to tell my family. I felt like, that was my responsibility.
Yeah.
So I finally realized, they're not going to come at 3 o'clock. They're going to come between 5 and 10 when everybody's home from work. So then I realized, okay, 5 to 10. If I can make it between 5 to 10, even if I haven't heard from him, I know that, he's all right. And he just doesn't have a way to contact me, because they either shut down the internet or shut down cell service or whatever. And 7:15, I see something in the corner of my eye on my phone, and 3 people are walking up my driveway. And my other son, his brother, had gone to a football game and had 2 of his friends. So I was hoping that, it was him. And as soon as I saw them turn the corner and saw it was 3 Marine suits, my life changed forever. And I went down there and met them, and I think I did before they even knocked on the door. And all I kept saying, and this goes to the point that you're asking, did any service, come and address to us? Yes. And they were incredible. These young men had so much empathy and were so concerned with me and my family, who luckily my family wasn't there. It was just me at the time. And I thank God, I thank Jesus that happened, that I was able to intercept them. And all I kept telling them, they were literally there for like 5 minutes. I was all, let's sign whatever papers we have to sign now, but you have to leave, because I have to take care of my family, and I don't want someone to come here while you're here. And they were totally understanding. And then it dawned on me that, yes, maybe I don't need the condolences from them, but I don't want to take that opportunity from my other family members, my wife, my son. So I asked them, look, they're at a football game for the high school, watching a football game. Can you please wait down the street until they come? And then I could see if they want you to come and do your condolences presentation. Those boys sat out there for 4 hours. For 4 hours they sat out there until they came, until my wife came, which it was not good, and I could not have them come to the house. It was horrible. Like I said, I've been up for about 36 hours, but I was in awe and just humbled by by their performance.
I appreciate, Steve, you're telling us that. And God bless
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just the worst. Britt Hume is a Fox News senior political analyst, and he joins us tonight. Britt, it's always the best people.
Yeah, God bless that man.
God bless
Nice
that
family.
man. So what a nice man. Didn't make any big political points. I think they're implied, but I just wanted to let him talk and show people what it actually looks like, and that's what it actually looks like.
That's right. That's what it's like. I mean, it changes. Obviously, that family, everyone in that family's life has changed forever.
Yeah.
Not be the same. I've lost a son, and not through war, but you feel as he does, like some part of you's been amputated, and it's never growing back. Never growing back.
Yeah, I hate doing TV that plays purely on people's emotions. I think we have an obligation to think rationally about the best way to run the country and the best decisions to make, and sometimes decisions result in death, but you make them. I don't make them, but our country makes them. But I also think it's worth remembering there's, guys like that.
Yeah.
Really the best people America have are the ones who
Yeah,
were.
and you think of that young man
Yeah.
who signed up and did this. And you saw what he was saying to those kids over there, and that breaks your heart.
It does break your heart. Yeah, his decency just came right through. So in light of that, pretty unbelievable they closed Bagram. And I mean, he said, I'm a carpenter, and I could tell that's not a good idea. I'm a talk show host.
Right.
I've never commanded anything. I never will. That's obviously insane. How do we get there?
Well, it's tempting, and I don't think any of these military leaders or our diplomatic leaders have covered themselves with anything approaching glory in all this. And it wouldn't break my heart if they all stepped down. Maybe some of them should have. But when you drill down into each of these decisions as we go along here, and what got us to where, it comes back to one thing. It comes back to the decision that was made to get our military out of Afghanistan, and fast. On Bagram, for example, the president is fond of saying now that the military commanders told him that Bagram airfield really wouldn't be of much use. You heard Mark Milley say in a soundbite you played that for tactical reasons it wasn't much support. Well, why was that? The reason for that was, as Milley testified, or at least, as Milley said in a news conference on the 18th of August, he said the mission was to protect the embassy. And obviously the embassy's in Kabul. And there was no thought that you would add forces to keep Bagram open. What Biden wanted was forces out. Now, they had to surge forces into Kabul to protect the embassy, they hoped, which failed, obviously. But it was the nature of the mission given by the commander-in-chief that led to that decision at Bagram.
I believe that. On the other hand, it's become an increasingly merciless society where people tweet something thoughtless 5 years ago and lose their livelihood and their lives are destroyed. So here you see a series of decisions, I'm sure most were made in good faith, because I think most decisions are made in good faith, but that resulted in the deaths of boys like that.
Right.
And the administration informs us today that no one's going to resign. No one's going to be punished.
Well,
no one did anything wrong. Like, what is this?
I think, my guess is that the jury's still out on that.
Oh.
Just looking at this in raw political terms, the president, if he doesn't fire anybody, it simply reflects back on him, as it should, in fact.
Right.
Right. I mean, you drill down on any of these questions as to how we got where we are, and you find at the bottom of it, it was one basic decision. For example, the president is now fond of saying, "Well, we were bound by the Trump administration's deal with the Taliban." In fact, when that deal was struck in February of 2020, Zalil Khalilzad, who was the U.S. negotiator and a longtime veteran of Afghanistan, made it very clear, as did his team around him, that this was conditions-based, and if the Taliban did not live up to its side of the bargain, that we were under no obligation to remove our troops. So one of the key provisions of that deal was that the Taliban and the Afghan government, which had been excluded from the negotiations, that there would be a deal between them, that they would negotiate a deal. They never did that. They never came close to doing that. Yeah. So just on that score alone, we were not obligated, President Biden was not obligated to pull all our troops out. And you think about it for a minute, Tucker. What was being undertaken here was what was going to be a massive evacuation. Now, there are times, evacuations are very dangerous, chancy, risky endeavors. And in a situation like this, where we couldn't know what was going to happen, and it got worse as time went on, as the Taliban took over more and more of Afghanistan, there was probably a need to surge more troops in. But Biden was not going to do that. We know that. He wanted troops out. That was where we were at the time when he made the decision, and that's where we are now. And everything is traceable to that.
Preview, I appreciate your coming on tonight.
Bet.
Thank you very much. So the question for millions and millions of Americans is, if you have had COVID and recovered, do you need to take the COVID vaccine? We've been awaiting hard science on that. Tonight we have hard science on that. This should be national news. It should be leading every telecast in the country, but it's not. We'll tell you what that research says next.